What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I got the FLYFISH 25 Sub-250. This is going to be my first Sub-250 build, and I'm going to be going over the components that I used and how I used them, and yeah, take this thing for a test flight, and we'll see how it goes. If you guys enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. Let's go over a few components that I'm going to be using for this Sub-250 build. So I chose to go with this all-in-one SkyStar 40 amp. This is going to be digital, so it's going to be running a little bit heavier than an analog, but we'll make it work. Now, days are getting shorter, nights are getting longer around here, so winter time has hit us, and we're losing daylight sooner than later. So I decided to go with the Polar, which is a great nighttime cam for the DJI. I was going to go with the Nebula Pro, but I think this will be better since we'll be flying at, when it gets a little bit darker. Got the cadxx Vista. Now I think I got a few ways where I can make this a little bit lighter, so we're going to be getting into that a little bit later here, so stick around. I got the smallest elrs receiver I could find. This is the geprc. This thing is tiny, I can barely hold it. So this is going to be great. Some weight savings there. I decided to go with this capacitor, an XT60 lead holder. It does have lights on it. I wasn't worried about the lights, but every time I do a build, I have to run wires. I have to do like a remote capacitor lead, so I don't really like doing that. So I decided to put it on the end of my XT60. We'll see how that goes. Seeing how we're going to be adding, I think this is like a half a gram. We'll make this a little bit lighter, I think, just to make up the difference. We could possibly make this naked, and we'll see how that goes. Alright, so for the motors, I chose the FLYFISH 2004 2900 kV 12x12. Nice stator size there, so we're going to be slapping these on. Let's see what else. So that's pretty much it. Let's get right into it. So we're going to need our components out of here for our all-in-one flight controller. Let's get this antenna out the way. Get this camera out the way for now. So we're going to be focusing on getting this thing all tinned up or pre-tinned. Now what's great about this all-in-one flight controller is it comes with the DJI plug that you're going to need, and it also comes with the elrs receiver plug. So we're going to be plugging 2 ports into that, and it also comes with a extended Type-C port if you wanted to reroute your Betaflight port, so you can reconfigure your drone there. I don't think I'll be needing this. This will just be adding weight, so I'll keep that to the side. Okay, so we're going to get my helping hands here. So I think we can make this a little bit lighter. Why don't we go ahead and make this naked? Let's get out the scale here and see how much we can save. Okay, here we go. Let's hit tear. Alright, so the unit itself weighs 20 grams. Let's see what it weighs when we make it naked. Now with the wires, 8 grams. So we saved 12 grams. You can't beat that. That's sweet. Alright, so we pulled apart our cadxx vista. We made it naked. I mean, we still got clothes on, but we made that naked. Okay, now move the scale for a second. Time to bring in the 25. Yes, sir. My first Sub-250 build. Now having this whoop style all-in-one is going to be a little tricky putting in here because this one is a square mount. So unfortunately, the board wants to sit like this. So this would be the back and this would be the front. But in Betaflight, we can turn it 45 degrees. We can just give it one turn. And I think I'm going to do it like this. So motor 1 is right here, and then motor 2 will be right here, motor 3, motor 4. So let's do that. Okay, now that we got our all-in-one tinned up, ready to rock, we're going to get this set in the drone. That way we can figure out our cadxx vista and our camera and stuff, and then we can start mounting our motor wires. Okay. So I need to find some stack screws here. Oh, there they are. Got to look for the countersunk because the bottom of this frame, they're all countersunk. We got 5 here. We're only going to need 4. See if these are long enough. Got some plastic nuts just to secure these on. Hold them in place. Just put it snug. Alright, we got, these are pretty short stack screws. Pretty short, but let's see if they'll work before I put all of them on. Ooh, those might be just tall enough. Gonna leave some space We got some space in there so the all-in-one isn't going to touch the frame, which is good. Just enough to get a nut on there. Perfect. Alright. Put these other two in. Just going to test fit this. I think that's pretty good. Nothing's touching the frame. We got some room. Nice and solid. So now, what we're going to want to do is we got to get some gummies. We got to stick them. We're going to stick them in between here. That way the board's not touching. But you don't want them too tall to where it's pulling on this ribbon cable. But you want them tall enough so that it's spreading the board apart and nothing's touching. So I think that's pretty good, actually. I think that'll work. Now this is the tricky part. Putting the bolts in and then sticking these in there, fiddling with that. So let's see if we can't do that. Now these screws, it don't matter if they're countersunk or not. It's not going to hit the ground or anything like that. So let's see what we got here. Well, those are too tall. Way too tall. Okay. Can't use those. Why don't we use the ones that come with the drone? That'd be smart, Rob. Okay. So we're just going to want to hold this side nice and gentle. Hopefully get this side in. Try to line them up. We got 3 up. There we go. We lost one already. Nice. Perfect. Alright, let's see if we can't get this one back in place. Okay. Now, that mother effer moved again. Alright. One more gummy to go. Alright, we got our gummies in place here. Let's see. Now, how the hell am I going to do this? I probably should have put these in first, put the nut on, and then slid these on, huh? So that's my first mistake. Alright, let's put this down for a second. We'll revisit that once I get this ready. Now I'm using the holes closer together. The outside holes need to be threaded in, and I'm not looking to thread all those in and try to hold the gummies and all that. So And that's that. We got the screws in. So we're ready for our cadxx vista, our naked vista, and we're ready for our flight controller. Let's see if I can't get these on without moving them. And just like that, we got this naked vista spaced apart perfectly. All right. Now, the only thing I'm thinking is we got to get this camera. We got to get this camera mounted on before we get the flight controller on. Also, I got this really long wire. I started with a short one. Ordered this one thinking that this would be the one, and it's way too long. So I'm gonna have some extended camera cable in there, but I'm just gonna have to loop it up somewhere. That's gonna add some weight as well, but it is what it is. So basically I got this naked vista. Now the plug's supposed to be, usually the plug comes out the back. I got this thing turned around 180 degrees just so my cable will hook in there. I could unsolder it, turn it around, and use the one that came in the bag with the flight controller, but this one's already all set up, and it looks like it's just going to reach. It's going to go up underneath it and plug right in. It's going to be perfect length, so I don't think I'm going to mess with that. Unless the camera cable fights with me a little bit, I might have to turn this thing around. So let's see here. Alright, I'm going to take off this back standoff just to access, just so I can try to get this camera cable secured in there. Okay. Now since I got this naked vista turned 180 degrees, the camera attachment is right here in the back opposed to where it usually is, kind of towards the front. So I'm going to have to attach that in there. And I'm going to have to use some sort of adhesive, some hot glue or something just to hold this thing in place. Because on my other drone, I don't have any adhesive and it seems to be a little jittery, a little loose at times. So let's see here. I gotta get this in there. Once I get this in there, then we can route this camera. Okay, let me see here. So this M2 kit is nice to have. I got this on Amazon. I'll leave the link down below. This is good for longer screws if you need to make a vista into naked, or just even mounting the vista or anything. These screws work good. Anything M2 related. So I just need some nuts. Now I know what you guys are thinking. How come you're not using an O3? Because you can't really have an action cam. You definitely can't have a GoPro on top if you want to keep this sub 250 under 250 grams. So I don't plan on keeping this sub 250 forever. I just kind of wanted to build my first one, see where it goes. And I'm sure I'll be swapping these 4S motors out for some 6S motors. So that means heavier battery. That means I'm probably going to get a smaller action camera for the top to capture the footage and stuff. So it's not going to stay sub 250 forever. I'm definitely not going to be compliant um, with the remote ID crap. I'll tell you that right now. As long as I'm flying safe and I'm not hurting anybody or damaging anybody's property, I'm alright with that. I feel like I'm doing the right thing if that's the case. So got this kind of secured, which is good. Wow, I have a ton of extra cable. Holy shit. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use this. Damn. A lot of cable right there. Holy shit. Holy shit, boy. Damn, that's a lot of cable. Damn. Sorry, it'll still work. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do next, I'm going to plug in this cadxx vista to the side. Just want to make sure the pinout is the right way here. We got battery, ground, TX, RX. I'm not using ground and S-bus because I don't have a DJI controller. I'm using the Zorro. So let's see what we got here. Which way are the pins going? So the pins are down. That means it's going down like this. Already ran into my first problem. So this plug is not going to fit, unfortunately. That means I'm going to have to use the other one that the flight controller came with. That means I got to take this all apart, put the new plug on there from the flight controller, which I should have used in the first place, and then put this back on. Hopefully get this going. Wow. Easy build turned into a shit show real quick. Suppose I could depin this. Just use this end here. So what I'm doing here is depinning. I need this plug to fit into the flight controller. This came with it, and instead of taking this all apart and resoldering this, I'm just going to put these wires into this new plug and stick it in the flight controller. So that's what I'm doing now. Kind of just being lazy because I don't want to take this all apart and deal with those gummies falling out and all that crap. So I took this off. I can still use this eventually. But I need this plug here. I'm going to take these out. Same way. So we got our power. Okay, so now we just gotta stick these wires starting with the power. Now negative. This was a lot easier than having to take this thing back apart, resolder it, and then deal with those gummies. The stack itself, like being flopping all over the place, and ugh. So that was easy enough. Now I just gotta make sure I put RX and TX on their right corresponding place. So battery, ground, TX, and RX. So TX is going to be the next one. Now let's look here. RX is white, so the next one is RX, so that one's going to go in TX. Receive, transmit, transmit, receive. So TX and then RX. Perfect. Simple as that, guys. Now we got the right plug. And that plug ain't going nowhere. These are all in there nice and nice. As long as you don't bend these plastic things back too far, you're alright. You'll be alright. Okay, so now we can plug the plug in. So pins down, pins down. Look at that, it fits in. Oh, that's satisfying right there. Okay, make sure it's in. These wires aren't going nowhere. Alright. Tuck it under a little bit. It's just long enough. It's perfect. That's why I didn't want to have to switch it out. Looking good. I think we're going to run this camera wire underneath the all-in-one just to make it look a little bit cleaner. I just need a little bit of slack, that way I can glue this down. Oh, I don't like where it's sat though right here. I'm going to have to move that. Let's put it on the other side here. So, oh, look at the camera wire. Holy shit. What am I going to do with that? Jesus. Wow. It's a lot of camera cable right there. Son of a bitch. I know this ain't ideal, but it's going to have to work. It's going to have to do. There's like a little channel down here. I'm going to try to stuff the wire in there, I guess. Before I secure this down, I'm going to have to plug this in. I'm going to have to plug the receiver plug in. Looks like they didn't pre-tin it, so I'm going to have to pre-tin this a little bit. Usually the wires come pre-tin, but that's alright, it's no big deal. Just rip a little off. Okay. Just going to pre-tune this a little bit. A little bit of flux. Okay. Now we got that all pre-tinned. We can go ahead and plug this into the port, and then I can solder up the receiver. I also got to solder up the XT60. So I'll do that next. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here. XT60 is going to come out the back. So we got TX, RX, 5 volt, and ground. So TX is going to be my blue, just so I can remember. That's all nice, firmly pressed in. Now I might as well go ahead and get this XT60. Got the positive. Get the negative lead on there. It's looking pretty good. Should be a nice solid connection. Okay, so it's looking good so far. Even though we have a ginormous camera cable. That's just the stupidest thing I've ever seen, but maybe I'll swap that out in the future, but for now, this is what we're left with. I went ahead and put this on the end of my positive and negative battery cable. Got the capacitor on there. This piece here saves me from having to remotely put the capacitor somewhere else because it's not going to fit in the back here where I'd like it to. So this will work out just fine. Okay, let's slap this thing on and we'll get these motors soldered up, and we'll just be one step closer to finishing this build. Okay, so now we can secure. Once we plug this in, we can secure the flight controller down to the frame. Okay, so I'm going to secure this down to the frame. Just put it on loose for now. We'll just put 2 on for now. Maybe I'll put 1 more on just so it's sitting where I like it. Okay. This will come out the back. So we got the receiver and the motors to put on, and pretty much that's it for the build part. And then we'll configure it in Betaflight. and get this thing up in the air. Alright, so as far as the receiver goes, I already forgot which one is RX and which one is TX. So, okay, so after looking at this, TX is going to be the blue one. So TX is going to go to RX on the receiver. Be careful with these ceramic tower receivers. They break fairly easy, I'll tell you. I can't even tell you how many of these I've gone through. I've got like 2 over here. They break so damn easy. Tried to solder it back on. Looks like shit. I don't even think it works, but probably get like 25 milliwatts out of it, maybe, if you're lucky. So it looks like if we're looking at this diagram here on the left, looks like we got ground, 5-volt, TX, and RX. So RX will be at the very edge. Okay, so RX is going to go to this blue wire. This is TX to RX. Okay. Not quite sure where we're going to mount this yet, but we'll find a spot. So if you guys aren't already subscribed, I would appreciate it if you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and it only helps me make more of these videos, so I appreciate you guys tuning in. And I'll have plenty more of these videos coming out soon. I got something special coming up, so stay tuned. So we got ground. I gotta fix that one. Okay. RXTX and then 5 volts and ground. Okay, so we got our elrs receiver hooked up. Not pretty, but she's hooked up. We got the Sky Star in, so we got our receiver. We got our DJI hooked up. Our digital's in the back. We got our XT60 on. We got our capacitor on the back of the XT60 with some extra lights. Now we just gotta wire up the motors. These are gonna be 4S, so ooh, the motor wires just make it. Just made it. Let's put this to the side for a second. We'll pretend these motor wires once I tear the box apart because I can't open it. Jesus. One of the box of motors came with 2 screws, not even in the bag. Hope the motor works. That'll be a bummer if it don't. Looks like they got single strand windings in here. These are gonna fly good, I bet you. We'll see. Oh wow, this one came out the box already stripped at the end and solder on them. Now these other 3 didn't come like that. The other 3 motors came with the tube right to the end. All 4 of the motor's wires are pre-tinned, ready to go. So let's slap these on. We got all 4 motors wired up. Now we gotta hook this up to Betaflight, get everything configured, get my elrs receiver bound to my controller, and before we put this top plate on, make sure everything's secure, make sure we got it configured, and I also got to put some glue or some type of some adhesive or a piece of tape or something over this wire so it doesn't jiggle loose. But other than that, looking pretty good. Can't wait to fly this Tony 5. If anybody else is doing a Sub-250 build, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to know what parts you guys used and what frame. This is a 5-inch Sub-250, so hopefully this thing isn't too loud, but we'll see. Whoops. Probably not going to want to forget that. It's not ideal, but it's going to have to work. So let's see what the all-up weight is going to be here. Now, remember, we're trying to stay under 250. So let's check it out. Looks like we're at 180. So let's put the top plate on with a strap. Oh, we can't forget the screws. So top plate with the strap, we're at 195. And I got a 550 RDQ series battery. Let's see what we're going to weigh here. Whoa, 250. So we can't go with a bigger battery. That's the biggest size we're going to get there. Now I did fly this, and I'll tell you right now, with the 550, you get about 4 minutes, 4.5 pushing it, but I wouldn't do that. So I mean, it's not too bad. I'm not going to be keeping this to sub-250. I'm probably going to be slapping a bigger battery on there and, you know, pushing it a little bit. But these arms are pretty thin, so, you know, first real hard crash, you are gonna snap an arm, I'm sure. It's not built to be a bando basher, but I love freestyle, and that's what I love doing, so that's what I'm gonna do. I hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.